here's your stitch. It's so pretty. Welcome back to another tutorial. I just finished filming a live and I'm still kind of like trying to process because my brain still wants to kind of speak very excitedly in Spanish. So welcome back. This is, I think, square number 16. I'm not quite sure. Look at the name of the title. Whatever square number that is. That's what this is for our Tunisian Afghan project. Now, this is a very lacy one. I absolutely love it. I think I've said that about every single stitch. But I do. I love them. That's why I end up filming them. Because this is the one stitch I ended up with. I think I probably did maybe like 6 to 8 hours of stitching yesterday. And I don't even know how many stitches I totally passed up because I didn't like the way they looked. So needless to say, if it has made the cut for the Afghan throw, whatever thing we're making, then it is a stitch I love and you're probably going to see it for a whole bunch of other projects. Anyway, I've bored you enough with that. Let's get started with this stitch. Now this stitch is crocheted in multiples of 3 plus 2. And that is because of this little row right here. So these are all done in 3s and you need 1 for each side. So 3 plus 2. This is just, what is this called? I want to call it a reverse stitch because that's what it's called in Spanish. It's a purl. There we go. This is just purl stitching, so it doesn't really matter how many stitches you have, but this right here is what determines our multiples. So multiples of, 3 plus 2. I did a chain of 32 for this 8-inch square. This one is just a tiny bit shorter than the 8 inches up here, and when we block it, I did this on purpose. When we block it, I want it to open this up a little bit more so you can actually see between the stitching. So it's going to be just a teeny bit smaller than the 8 inches. I know some of our other squares have not been exactly 8 inches, but there's a reason for that. In one of them, it's because I just messed up, and I won't tell you which. But I'm pretty sure if you looked at your samples, it's the smallest one in yellow. Yeah, I might have messed that one up. But let's get started. All right, so I'm not going to do all 32 stitches because then we'll be here crocheting all day. But this, if you are new to this series, this is just a, medium worsted yarn, and this is a 6mm hook. So you will need a Tunisian crochet hook because this is Tunisian crochet. So let's make our knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot and you don't know how to make a foundation row, then, go back to the first few videos where I show you how to do that. But we're going to make a small sample. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then plus 2. So, because that's our multiple of 3 plus 2. Then we're going to cast on our foundation row with just inserting our hook, I can't speak, into the stitch. And then doing this for each and every one of the stitches until we have a total of, 12? However many stitches you change. So it should be 32 if you're making this square. And for those of you that use centimeters, because I forgot to mention that, that's a 20 centimeter square. But here I should have 12 loops. If you're doing that one, you should have 32. And now we work a regular return pass. There is going to be a bit of a different return pass, which I will show you here in the next row. So this is going to be a 3-row repeat, but it doesn't begin until, well, actually, I think it begins in this row. Let's go on with it, and I'll talk to you more about it. The first row we're going to do is just a row of purls. So your purl is just a reverse yarn over like so. Insert your hook into the stitch, pull it under, and then yarn over. We've seen this stitch countless times, so if you are still really confused about the stitch, I highly suggest you watch the Tunisian 101 class or go again back to one of the beginning stitches for this playlist, and the playlist can be found on the main page of my YouTube channel. All right, and once you get to the end, you just cast on into this final stitch just like we have been in all our other stitches. And then here is the return pass. So when you complete row number 1, your return pass is going to look a little different. You're going to begin with a chain 2. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through 4 loops. So these 4 right there. So yarn over, pull through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then chain 2. So 1, 2, and then yarn over, pull through 4, chain 2. And you're going to have these 4 loops plus this one at the end. That means you're right where you're supposed to be. You're going to yarn over and pull through 4. So that'll leave you right here, if I can do this right. Oh no, there we go. All right, now I pulled it right. It should leave you with just 2 loops. You're going to chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2. This is going to give us the same spacing at the end on both sides. All right, once you've got this going, this next part you can do in one of two ways because it really depends on your tension. So you can insert your hook into this first chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, so you cast on one. Or if this stitch is too tight, you can just go into this chain space and just pull up a loop. Whatever you prefer, it looks exactly the same. So your final product, you won't be able to tell. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to cast on into this top stitch right up here. So here are our 3 loops. It's going to be right above it. So you're going to cast on in here. And then there's a stitch, so there's a chain right next to it. It's going to be a little hidden. You're going to cast on into this chain, and the top of the stitch. So, oh, and this one's actually quite small. So we're just going to wing it here. We're going to chain here, and then I'm going to chain here, and then I'm going to chain up here. So if you pull your return pass really tightly, it's going to make it difficult for you to cast on into the chains. So I should have probably mentioned that. Work on a loose return pass. It'll make this next row, which is what, row number 2, a lot easier to work. All right, and then you go ahead and cast on some more. So you're going to cast on into each of the chain spaces. So here's our stitch, so you're going to cast on into each chain space right here and at the top of your group of 3. When you get to the end, you'll still have to cast on 2 stitches. I would use these 2 chains. I tried using this one at the very top and then using this one, and then I did a combination of this one and this one. These 2 yielded the nicest looking result. So cast on into the second to last chain, and then right here on this last one, and you still should have your 12 loops. If you don't, go back and make sure that you cast on into each of the chain spaces. So for each of these stitches, you should have 3. So right here, you should have 1 in here, and then 1 there, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and 2. Because these 2 plus this one will complete that same multiple that we need, and we're still going to end up with the multiples of 3 plus 2. For this one, you do complete a regular return pass. All right, so from here on out is where we repeat all of our stitching. Although I guess you could say it starts from here, but you'll see what I mean here in just a minute. The next 2 rows are just, not reverse stitch, I'm doing it again, see? Purl stitch. They're just purl stitch rows. So you're going to do 1 purl stitch row with a regular return pass, and then 1 purl stitch row with this return pass, so we can get this little section again. So we'll work through this one quickly. In fact, I think I'm just going to start working on this and then get off camera so I don't waste too much of your time. So I'm just going to speed this up. All right. Okay, here we go. So just to make things a little bit quicker, I just went ahead and cast on that first row of purl stitching, completed my regular return pass, then I cast on my second row of purl stitching, and now we're going to work on that, well, this little fancy return pass. So we'll do this one again together one more time. So you're going to chain 2, and then yarn over, pull through 4, chain 2, remember to leave these loose, yarn over and pull through 4, chain 2, yarn over, pull through 4, and then chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And then you just repeat. So you're going to cast on at the top of the chain, and you're going to do your purl stitches and then your fancy return pass. You're going to complete this. So each of these, we did 2 rows of, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The lace stuff, the little group of 3s. Right here, we've already done 2. For our block, in order for it to be the size that we need, you're going to do, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you need 8 of these lacy things, little groups of 3, and you're going to finish your work with 1 row of purl stitching and then the bind off. That way you have the 1 row of purl, just like we did down here, 1 row of purl, and then you have your closing stitches. In this case, this was the initial chain, but we're going to do the bind off to create a similar edge, and there we're going to have our nice little 8-inch square. At least we should. I hope we do. Let me cast on 1 more row of the, well, we can do this together just in case anyone needs to see it again. So you can again use this little chain space, which is what I did because it's just easier. And then you're going to cast on into the top of the little group of 3. And then here's the first chain, second chain, top of our group of 3. I can't actually grab my stitch. And then we'll do the next one. So it's 1, 2, and then up here, 3. Oh my goodness. All right, and then we get to the end and we're going to cast on into these last 2. So 1, 2, and then just work our return pass. Yeah, see, this stitch is really simple. I'm trying to do more combinations of stitches like this because I think they look really nice, and they're going to be really, really useful for some of the projects we're going to do later. I'm going to do a row of purl stitching while I keep chatting with you guys. So yeah, then I'm hoping to do more of the live stuff. That'll be fun. I've got the gentleman's sweater, which, you know, you can also make it for, I guess, women if you want to. Yeah, my brain is fried. I did that live and I was just like, yeah, da da, yeah, da da, and now I'm switching between languages and I'm like, okay, I need a minute. Anyway, so with that live, you'll be able to just use your measurements and make that sweater for whomever you want. And we're going to use that really cool stitch, which I think I still have my sample here. I should, I think. Yeah, it's right here. Yay! We're going to use this stitch. It's going to be so pretty. I can't wait. I still haven't decided whether we're going to do it in the round or not, but look, I'm using my double-ended hook right now, so I mean, I might do it. Not sure yet. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. All right, so once you have done that row of purl right before you want to complete your bind off, you're going to work the bind off just like we have for a lot of our other ones, which is just a Tunisian simple stitch ended in a single crochet. So you would just insert your hook into the top leg of that second vertical stitch, cast on like so, so just pull up a loop, and then once you have your 2 loops, you single crochet. So you yarn over and pull this one through both stitches, and there you go. And you do this in every single one of the vertical stitches of the row, and that will give us a nice clean edge. Depending on the how you stitch, the tension of your stitch, I should say, you might need to pull on this single crochet a little more tightly. You're not going to use it, you're not going to crochet into it later, at least. Not that I think of right now, that might change, but you can go ahead and pull this a little more tightly so you have a nice clean edge. If it is too small, then, you know, loosen up the tension a bit. Once you get to the end, you're just going to single crochet, chain 1, this makes a knot here at the bottom, cut your yarn, pull this out, and then here's your stitch. It's so pretty. Maybe I'll make a sweater in cream color with this stitch. That's really pretty. All right, and then you just weave in your ends and you are set with your nice little square. So that was whatever square number that was. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to stop by the website if you want to see patterns and all that fun stuff. I'll see you all again in the next tutorial.